I think leveraging and using your school district as a resource might be really impactful and helpful. And I think schools will hopefully appreciate it, because the truth of the matter is, if it happens in your classroom, if it happens virtually, if it happens outside, it's going to follow you inside, your building. And so I think it's important for us to recognize the role that we play in education, because we can't be blind to the fact that at the end of the day, a lot of those issues will fall on our doorstep.
You're listening to the smartsocial.com podcast. This is our District Talk segment where we interview district leaders to learn how they're keeping students safe on social media. And we also ask them questions that we get from parents all over the country in our program. Now, let's get back to the interview.
Hey, everyone. Dr. Christopher Irving, Superintendent of Schools for the East Orange Public School District. We're an urban school district located in East Orange, New Jersey, with about 8,700 students and roughly about 22 buildings, 20 schools specifically, but we have other programs to support other students in various different areas as well.
Superintendent, I'm so excited to have you here today. I love New Jersey. I've been there a lot as I speak to students about social media safety. And that's what today's topic is. Today's all about getting your insights, Superintendent, for other districts nationwide who live in other cool states, right? Whether it's the Midwest, the West Coast. And today is all about how do we protect kids on social media and online, strengthen that relationship they have with their parents, that dialogue, and also help them be successful while they're in our buildings so they can someday shine online. And that's really our take on this. So I want to dive in real quick into the first question, Superintendent, that parents have for us. The first question is about parent ed. As districts implement cell phone free policies and figure out their own way of doing that, parents are telling us, hey, I'm left in the dark, and they're begging for strategies they can use to work with their kids at home. So what are your suggestions for other districts to increase parent education or maybe engagement around cell phone use?
Yeah, I think we've got to kind of normalize how we have conversations around cell phone usage, screen time, et cetera, as part of the continued conversation for students having access to all types of information throughout their life cycle and their lifespan. I mean, the reality is there are a lot of kids who are younger getting information that we would have gotten much later, we were growing up.
Yeah.
And so I think the first step is about normalizing those conversations when kids are really young in reference to the devices they have and why we're using them and how often we should. And I think that connects with us at school. I think the same thing needs to start happening in our schools where we're having conversations. I mean, so many of our schools are one-to-one now. And so we're having conversations with our kids about our devices because they are tools. They're like textbooks, but they're just digital textbooks, right? And so why do we utilize the textbook? The last thing I'll say, right? Very similar to how we used to use our textbooks and we'd prop it up to like a coffee mug or a bottle of water around it. And some would say, you don't put water or a mug on your textbook. Same thing, with our devices. This is a learning tool. It's an implement. And so we're using it to better the educational experience for our kids.
I love that. I haven't heard that very much, Superintendent. Looking at the device as a textbook. What are we learning and framing it there? A lot of superintendents have said that they like that Smart Social relates the device to a car, because we always say, hey, if you're going to give your kids an iPhone or an Android, let's make sure they know how to use it way before you give them the keys to it so they can see positive behaviors of it and the way to use it. But I like the textbook idea because it's getting me from point A to point B with a purpose. That's really cool. The next question I have for you, Superintendent, that parents are asking us is really about how do we be kind to each other? But I'm going to say it's anti-bullying. How should parents talk with their children about preventing online bullying?
Yeah, that is an ever-evolving and ever-changing, I think, conversation. I mean, I think all our parents have always talked with kids about kindness and about what that means to be a kind student. But I do think, in the advent of this digital age that we're in now, it becomes a reoccurring conversation because the media and the mediums by which kids communicate are going to change. And so I think parents should have conversations early and often with children around appropriate behavior and kindness when it comes to interaction on the playground, but also interaction online. And I think it's really important for us to distinguish that, right? I have a 4-year-old son, cute kid, awesome, Chris Jr., right? And so when my son's playing on the playground, he bumped into a kid or he's moving a kid to go down the slide, I will pull him aside and say, hey, that's not nice. That's not kind. We've got to ask. We've got to share. But somehow when we talk about digital devices and our conversations online, we don't make that bridge. And I think it's important for us, especially in this day and age, to connect the two, that our kindness and the way we set examples and teach lessons have to extend from the playground to the virtual playground and the virtual play space, especially because in the virtual space, most of us are not going to be there to see it.
So true. I like that. It's a great and relevant parallel that you have there. I got a follow-up question for this from parents. What are the steps you recommend to parents to resolve any conflicts, especially bullying?
Yeah, I think number one, making sure that the schools are engaged and involved. In New Jersey, there's a series of laws that have been passed to protect the rights of students who are victims of bullying. But also, there are laws that help to support and educate kids who are engaged in bullying based behavior. And so I think using your schools who are trained, we have like trained staff members in every single school, in every single city in the state around bullying prevention, and leveraging those resources, I think are important. And so if you're a parent who doesn't know kind of where to go or what to do or how to have those conversations, reach out to your experts in your school to say, hey, how can we best mediate the situation between two children? How best can we engage in a conversation that's really restorative and supports the type of behavior we want in these kids or a group of kids, especially when you're dealing with bullying, because you're dealing with imbalance of power and other dynamics that are in play. And so I think leveraging and using your school district as a resource might be really impactful and helpful. And I think schools will hopefully appreciate it, because the truth of the matter is, if it happens in your classroom, if it happens virtually, if it happens outside, it's going to follow you inside your building. And so I think it's important for us to recognize the role that we play in education, because we can't be blind to the fact that at the end of the day, a lot of those issues will fall on our doorstep.
Yeah, so well said. I like it. It does follow us everywhere we go. So no matter where something's at,
whether we like it or not.
Yeah, so true. And for all of our listeners and viewers here today, parents are also asking us, Josh, what makes these apps so addictive? It's a great question. Let's hear from two students as they explain why they can't stop scrolling.
I think the most addictive part about social media is the constant new content that you see. You're always being introduced to new content, especially on apps like TikTok. I think the short videos, when they end so quick, you start to lose your ability to have a longer attention span. I've caught myself finding long TikTok videos and I can't stand watching the whole thing.
This generation really adapted to the fact that we don't have a large attention span. We really only concentrate for 30 seconds. So getting information that quickly, I think, enables us to just want to keep watching more. You don't even need to care about what they're presenting to you, but just the fact that you can sit there and watch it and you're oddly enjoying it. Social media is pretty addictive. People have said it's like a drug. So it is addictive because you can't stop watching it. Your mind just plays on loop and it enjoys the fulfillment of everything firing in your brain to just keep watching.
So true. Parents, remember, this video is from one of our weekly live events that we host here at smartsocial.com. We have every single week, we have a live event that has teen video lessons, expert lessons, teachers, counselors, and everybody in it teaching you one of the hottest topics. And we have a premium parent newsletter. Let's show you what happens for all of our current partners. We're grateful for you for sharing this with parents. Hundreds and hundreds of parents every single week are visiting us. Remember, to one of our partner districts, here's what just happened. And districts, we want to normalize weekly safety events so parents have a way to pop in. Here's what that looks like.
Many kids as young as 10 years old will be unwrapping a cell phone for Christmas, but one school district is offering parents a gift this year, a tool to help them protect their kids using their cell phones.
It's really about safety. It's about safety of our learners.
Right now, College Community says about 400 parents are using the platform smartsocial.com. That's covered by the district's general funding. The hope is to partner with parents so they're able to keep their kids safe.
There's this tool that they didn't grow up with, or they grew up with, maybe one or two apps on that tool. And now their students are living in this world. We just believe that, protecting students is not just confined to the 7-hour school day. Their safety is important to us beyond that.
Smart Social's founder, Josh Oak, says he's been speaking about safety tips at schools across dozens of states, now reaching even more families by hosting live online Q&As and providing parents pointers. The goal, preventing potentially dangerous situations like chatting with strangers and cyberbullying.
You won't be there for them forever. We want to make sure they're resilient and awesome using these new tools, and that they come to you when they need you, and that they make wise decisions when you're not around.
College Community says parents have been giving positive feedback about the program, as it continues to track students' online safety habits.
We're so grateful to our partners as attendance goes up. We're seeing the incidents are going down in every single district. So thank you so much. And then last slide for all of our parents. Remember, every single month, there's a world-class different topic we're teaching on with replays of last month's, the month before, and so on. Gone are the days in your community of someone saying, oh no, I missed the social media safety night. I guess I'll let my daughter be on TikTok for another year and I'll just go to next year's event. That would be a travesty. So we have all kinds of great stuff and we're here for you with Q&A. Superintendent, we're back to you. I want to talk about avoiding strangers and dangerous situations online. What is your advice to parents and students to avoid these times when they might unfortunately talk to strangers? And how can they avoid dangerous situations online?
This is one I think is really critical. You kind of referenced it in your clip a second ago, right? Most of our parents are not going to necessarily be there when students are approached or engaged. And so teaching online safety when kids are young is so critical. And I do think, quite frankly, again, media has changed in the way in which young people engage with all facets of our community. But the lessons I think are continuous. When we were children, you don't talk to strangers. You don't step into a car with someone you don't know. You'd have a password. Someone said they were approaching you if they knew you from your family. Some of the stuff sounds pretty eerily familiar for what we should be encouraging our students to do, even in the virtual space, right? And so I think for parents, it's not overcomplicating this either. It's saying, hey, there's some basic things, 3 or 4 things that I think for families have to be non-negotiable. And I think drilling those non-negotiables into our students' heads as they grow, do that to allow them to be safe. And in the event when we see other young people, unfortunately, have negative experiences, having conversations in a restorative way with our kids about what do we think that young person might have missed and how can we make sure that doesn't happen here? And it's sometimes sad and tragic to share that information. But I do think using examples, real life examples, makes it real for kids. It makes it real that there are people out here who certainly want to see them do great, but there are also sometimes people out here who don't have good intention, and not hiding that from our students, I think is important, especially because, again, their access to information, their access to people, their access to information is readily at their fingertips from the time they're young. I mean, my son's 4 years old. He can work a tablet better than me.
Yeah, so well said. Excellent advice. I'm so grateful for you spending time here. Superintendent, thanks for your time today.
Thank you so much. Great conversation.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. And for all of our listeners and viewers, remember Smart Social's here for you. And if your district's a partner, we have events every single week, all year long, sometimes 2 per week, on the hottest topics that parents are voting on. We have an army of research people that's here to help you so that you can get the tips and the questions answered that you have on everything else. And remember, for all of our viewers, remember, no matter what you're doing online, remember to keep it light, bright, and polite, because your kids are watching. We'll see all of you on the next episode. Have a great day. Thanks for listening to the smartsocial.com podcast. Smart Social helps parents understand technology and social media to keep their kids safe and successful. Be sure to join one of our weekly online live events to become the smartest parent on the block so you can keep your kids safe and protect their future. Also, don't miss our 450 plus online resources and replays you can watch on demand in multiple languages. Are you a school district wanting to unlock these resources for your parents? Reach out to us so we can protect your whole community each week. Have a great rest of the day, and we'll see you on the next episode.